Hello and welcome to day 12 of the Wisdom Finance series. I am Favour Excellence and I'm excited to welcome you again. Today I want to talk about what is your standard of living. The reason why many people are unable to really work with a budget or really be very effective in budgeting or be able to account for their expenses is also because they are living above their level. One of the things you need to first of all define as an individual is your standard of living. Have you really sat down to ask yourself, what is my standard of living? Or you are just living as life comes? No, you shouldn't live like that. You should be very intentional about your life and very intentional about your expenses. And one way to be intentional about it is when you define your standard of living. I usually encourage people that live steps below your real level. So if, for example, you are earning 100,000 in a month, that is your standard of living, right? But for you to be able to save and put aside some amount of money for savings, maybe you want to save 20% and you want to put aside 20,000 naira for savings, it means that your real standard of living is 80,000. So you need to be spending and be living like, or have the mindset that your income is 80,000 in a month, because that is what is yours. The remaining is going into savings. Or if you want to save 50%, then you have it in mind that your real standard of living is at 50,000 naira per month. But people really do not pay attention or are not conscious to really define their standard of living. If you are earning 20,000 naira in a month, it means that your standard of living is at 20,000 naira in a month. And if you want to say, I'll be saving 10% or 20%, then by the time you remove 2,000, your real standard of living is at 18,000 naira in a month. So you should have that at the back of your mind. That is not your purpose. That is not your level in life, but that is your standard of living. So that when you see people that are buying one plate of food for 5,000 naira, and you know that your standard of living is 18,000 naira in a month, then you know that that is about how many percent of your 1 month standard of living or your 1 month allocation. Do you understand? You know that that is about 30-something%. So you know you cannot afford it and you do not bother to compete with them. You leave them to eat their 5,000 naira plate of food and you look for what works for you. So you need to be clear. Once you are calculating your savings as part of your income, it makes it even more difficult for you to take it out. So you need to program your mind that my income is 50,000 naira because 50,000 naira goes to savings and maybe some other expenses or my givings or my gifts and all that. So my real standard of living is 50,000, and then you budget and live your life at the rate of 50,000 naira. If you want to go a step further, like I sometimes advise and counsel people, it is wisdom for you to live some steps below your real level. So let's say, for example, you are earning 100,000 naira in a month and you are saving 20%. That's 20,000 naira in a month, right? And then maybe you are also giving 10%. That's 10,000 naira out of it. So your real standard of living is 70,000 in a month. If you want to be wise, you can decide to live, let's say, 2 steps below your real level or 3 steps below your real level. That is bringing you to 40,000 naira in a month. If you are living at 40,000 naira in a month and you have at the back of your mind that your standard of living is 40,000 naira in a month, what does it mean for you? It means that you have an additional 30,000 naira that you can put aside into investments or into other things. And then at the end of the day, there is no how that you would have fully expended all you made for that month. But there are people that are worse off, that they are earning 100,000 and their standard of living is at 500,000 naira in a month. So at the end of the day, they exhaust their entire income even before the end of week 1 of that month, and they are begging, they are borrowing, they are calling uncle, they are calling friends. I'm sorry to say, but it is the height of irresponsibility for you not to be able to effectively manage your income and be in a position where you have to depend on others every time. Now, the word is every time, because once in a while, things may happen that you did not plan for, and that will make you to need support, right? But if every time you have to be in need, every time you have to beg, every time you have to borrow, check it very well. There is some level of irresponsibility somewhere in how you are managing your finances. And instead of you to be offended, why don't you sit back and ask yourself, where have I been irresponsible? Is it that I am living above my real level? Or is it that I have appetite for things that I cannot afford? Or is it that I'm going for things that I do not need? I am prioritizing my wants over my need. I want you to look at it, think about it, and first of all, ask yourself, what is my standard of living? And what do I want to be my standard of living moving on from now? If you want to increase your standard of living, you should work towards increasing your income so that you can also increase your standard of living. But please, never have a standard of living that is higher than your income. It is safer to be steps below your real level. That keeps you in the net of safety, in the net of wisdom, and in the net where you are able to have enough towards savings, towards investment, and towards building wealth. I will see you in the 13. Cheers to your word breakthroughs.